Greetings and welcome to my new calculus channel. My name is John Gabriel. And in previous videos and also articles, I discussed the greatest common divisor, also known through the Euclidean algorithm. But now, I'm going to give you a glimpse into the minds of my genius ancestors and tell you how they arrived at these ideas. So they were studying the measure of one line segment by another line segment, okay, or one magnitude by another magnitude, and usually the smaller measuring the greater. And that's really where the greatest common divisor concept came from. But in geometry, we don't deal with numbers. So, for example, they were trying to find out what is the greatest common magnitude of the red line and the blue line, if indeed they have a common magnitude. So the way they would do this is they would take the small line and measure the red line, okay? And it turns out that that would be the distance that would be left over, right? And then they'd repeat the process by taking this distance like that. And finally, if there were a common measure, it would have two equal magnitudes or two equal lines. Now, unlike algebra, there are no numbers here. But if, let's say, this little black line were assumed to be the unit, then we'd have over here, we'd have one, two, three, four, right? So about four of these little black units would fit into that line, meaning that the greatest common divisor of these two red lines is going to be 4. But if, for example, we treated this as the unit, right, then that would measure the blue line 1, 2, 3, and the red line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, meaning that we're actually finding the common divisor of 5 and 3, right? And the way we do that is by subtracting 3 from 5, it's 2. Subtracting 2 from 3 is 1. So 1 measures 2 exactly, meaning that 1 is the greatest common divisor. And if, of course, this were actually 4, then we would have 20 and 12, and we would say 20, 12, 8, 4, right? And 4 measures 8, and we found the greatest common denominator. So the next thing you can consider is what happens when, for example, you have two line segments like that, where this line segment is the circumference of a circle and this is its diameter. Do you think that you can ever get to a stage where you're going to end up with equal magnitudes like that? And of course, obviously, many of you are going to say no, because it's been drilled into your heads that these two have no common measure, okay? And it's interesting because in geometry, you can perform 100% accurate arithmetic with any two ratios, okay? So if you have, let's say, a ratio that gives rise to pi and a ratio that gives rise to square root 2, you can do all the four operations with these to 100% accuracy. You could say that divided by square root 2 and find a ratio whose measure represents that exactly, or a ratio which represents the product, or the reciprocal, or anything else, or even the difference or the sum. So I hope I've given you a little bit more food for thought as far as the GCD and how the Greeks arrived at the Euclidean algorithm, which is discussed in book 7, or variations of it in book 7 and book 10. And you'll be able to gain a much deeper and profound understanding of the thought processes that led to those algorithms. If you're not already a subscriber, become one. Click like, tell your parents, tell your teachers, tell your friends, tell everyone you know about this channel, and become a subscriber. And also follow me on academia.edu. I'm John Gabriel. Till next time, goodbye.